it says, and the word was with God. The term pros, it means with,
Yeah.
or it's the preposition degenitive. So it's face to face with. It's for the sake of. He is near. He is beside.
Hmm.
So what John is saying is that this word is not only eternal, but he is beside someone else who is called God.
You're right.
The Word was with God, pros ton theon, meaning it is inseparably united in the essence of his singular nature. However, pros ton theon also means toward God, indicating that the Word is facing God or oriented toward God, even though the Word is united within God or with God. This suggests that God views his Word, which is his self-revelation, his image, and his Son, who exists within himself. Likewise, the Word looks back to God, the Father, who is its origin. God from eternity is called God, ho theos, meaning that from eternity he has always viewed himself in his manifestation through the Word. Since the Word is pros ton theon, toward God, within the depth of the essence of the one and eternal God, there exists a mutual gaze. God views his revelation, and the revelation also gazes back at God, and this happens within the singular essence of God himself, not outside of it. This is the truth found in the phrase pros ton theon. Hello, everyone. John 1:1 is one of the most important verses in the New Testament, affirming the divinity of Jesus Christ. The original text in Greek reads, En archi en o logos, ke o logos en pros ton theon, ke theos in o logos. The English translation is, In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This verse clearly declares that Jesus, referred to as the Word, is the eternal God. However, the Jehovah's Witnesses, in their New World translation of the Holy Scriptures, render the final part of John 1:1 as, the Word was a God. The question is their translation accurate? How can we verify the truth of John 1:1 based on the Greek text and its theological context? Let's take a moment to watch the following video.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. Now, clearly, in all our Bibles, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So that's A here. They use this as an argument to go against the deity of Christ, to say that he's a lesser God than the Father, not the same God as the Father, not one with the Father in essence, but a lesser God, a lesser deity, you will say. So I wanted to do a video today breaking this down and showing how that is a corruption of the text and how they are distorting it for their own means. How can we answer this and show that it's not a God, but actually the Word was God?
Yeah, that's an easy thing to do, really, because all you need to do is to understand a little bit of Greek, Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses will say, well, this is the only way that we can properly understand the Greek, because if you look at the Greek language, the word God there doesn't have the definite article. So we'll pull up the Greek text to figure out what their argument is fully, so that we can fully see it, and then we'll break it down so that we can digest it. So here, what we have here on this first part is the Greek language of the text. This is John 1:1. So here in John 1:1, it says, "In arche ein halagos." In the beginning was the Word. Kai halagos ein pros ton theon, which is, and the Word was with God. And then you have kai theos ein halagos, and the Word was God. So what are we talking about in relation to this entire point? We're looking at this last phrase, kai theos ein halagos, and the Word was God. Their interpretation, the Jehovah's Witnesses say, and the Word was a God. And the reason why they argue this is because the word theos here, it doesn't have what we call a definite article. And the reason why is really interesting. So as we see here in the rest of like John 1:1, all of these other words, halagos, ton theon, and halagos here, they all have what we call the definite article. It's where
And
we
the
would
definite
put,
article would be like right?
yes, exactly. They
The.
would say the word, the God, things like that. And so they would
Mhm.
argue that since this word doesn't have the definite article, instead of putting the there, you would have a God. So it's not necessarily designating that it is the true God.
Right,
However, they're
right.
not understanding the syntax of how Greek works.
Many theologians and Greek language scholars consider the NWT, New World Translation, to be both linguistically and theologically inaccurate. Bruce M. Metzger, a New Testament scholar, stated, "The Jehovah's Witnesses translation of a God reflects a lack of understanding of Greek grammar. There is no legitimate linguistic reason to insert a before God in this text." Daniel Wallace, a professor of New Testament studies and an expert in Greek grammar, explained, John 1:1c, theos en ho logos, clearly indicates that the word possesses divine nature. The NWT misuses Greek grammatical principles to support its own theology. Wallace further clarified that in such constructions, the absence of a definite article before theos does not justify translating it as a god. Instead, it emphasizes the nature or essence of the word as God. In all ancient New Testament manuscripts discovered, including Codex Sinaiticus and Codex Vaticanus, John 1:1 employs the same Greek phrase, theos en o logos, with no indication that theos should be rendered as a god.
So before we even get there, let's focus on the rest of what John 1 says in John 1:1. Do you want
Yeah.
to do that, Avery? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
let's break this down. John chapter 1, verse 1a. In arche ein halagos. So let's look at the first two words, in arche, in the beginning.
Mhm.
What does this remind you of, Avery?
Genesis.
Exactly. He's referring exactly to Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning was the Word. So he uses a particular form here of the word was. He uses the term ein, which is the imperfect, the past form of eimi, to be or to exist. So what it's saying is it's describing an action that is in the past, but is still going on. It's still going on. So what
Interesting.
John is saying is that as far as you can place the beginning, the word already was in existence and is continuing to exist.
That's good. That's good.
We also
Wow.
see in John 1:1b, kai halagos ein pros ton theon. So it says, and the word was with God. The term pros, it means with, or
Yeah.
it's the preposition the genitive. So it's face to face with. It's for the sake of. He is near. He is beside.
Mhm.
So what John is saying is that this word is not only eternal, but he is beside someone else who is called God.
You're right.
So this person has to be eternal, and he also has to exist beside someone else. So when we
Yeah.
look before eternity, before creation, we don't see just one person, we see two persons.
Yes.
Then we see the nature of this person. Kai theos en hologos. And this is where we get to the main point. How do we understand this? Greek scholars, those who know the Greek syntax, note that this phrase falls under the rule known as Caldwell's rule. Now, Avery, do you know what Caldwell's rule is?
I ain't got no idea, man. Break it down.
Shoo. Okay, I'll tell you. So, what happens in Caldwell's rule is that when it comes to these phrases, you have within it a noun or a pronoun that is an anarthrous preverbal predicate nominative. So, what in the world is an anarthrous preverbal predicate nominative? Let's walk through that. The word anarthrous means that it doesn't have the definite article. We've already seen that. It
Right.
is preverbal. That means that it is before the verb aim. I mean, we can see that in the text. It comes before the word aim. But it is also the predicate nominative. A predicate nominative means that when it is translated, instead of being before the verb, it is translated after the verb. It's the predicate. So what we actually see here with this rule, mainly what it's doing, it is describing the nature of the subject.
Okay.
The Word was with God, pros ton theon, meaning it is inseparably united in the essence of his singular nature. However, pros ton theon also means toward God, indicating that the Word is facing God or oriented toward God, even though the Word is united within God or with God. This suggests that God views his Word, which is his self-revelation, his image, and his Son, who exists within himself. Likewise, the Word looks back to God, the Father, who is its origin. God from eternity is called God, ho theos, meaning that from eternity he has always viewed himself in his manifestation through the Word. Since the Word is pros ton theon, toward God, within the depth of the essence of the one and eternal God, there exists a mutual gaze. God views his revelation, and the revelation also gazes back at God, and this happens within the singular essence of God himself, not outside of it. This is the truth found in the phrase pros ton theon. The Bible records the prayer of the Word of God when it became human in Jesus Christ as follows: "And now, O Father, glorify thou me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was." John 17:5. This verse explains that before the world existed, meaning before Jesus Christ became human, he was in your presence or in the immediate vicinity of God, para soi. In God's presence, before the world existed, the Word of God had glory, and this glory is certainly identical with the glory of the Father himself. Here, we see the eternal reciprocal relationship between God and his Word eternally, where being in the presence of God indicates that the Son, the Word of God, is always face-to-face with the Father, the one God. And certainly, conversely, the Father, the one God, faces the Son, the Word of God. As it is said, no one knows the Son, the Word, except the Father, the one God. And no one knows the Father, the one God, except the Son, the Word. And anyone to whom the Son, the Word, chooses to reveal him in revelation to humanity after the world exists. Matthew 11:27. This verse explains that there is an exclusive mutual knowing in the relationship between the Father and the Son, which is not possessed by anything outside of the relationship between the Father, the one God, and the Son, his Word. This is the eternal mutual gaze because within it there is an exclusive eternal knowing. Since the Word of God says of himself, proceeding from the Father, John 8:42, it means he was within the Father from eternity before the world existed. This signifies that the Word of God, the Son, resides within the one God, the Father, himself. Therefore, the eternal mutual gaze between God and his Word takes place within the essence of the one God.